think it's working.
All right.
All right, how's it going?
Sorry.
Yeah, stop working. Yeah. So we're a little late. Sorry about that. It's all good though. All right, so I am Quincy Wilson from Cummings and Company Realtors.
John Wald, Primary Residential Mortgage.
Yep. And so this is gonna be our last little show episode thing of the year. We'll take a break. We'll come back in 17. But I think today we just wanted to recap 2016 market, go over some quick little tips for 17 if you're a buyer or a seller, and just keep it short and sweet, right?
Let's do it.
All right, so let's talk about what happened in 16. All right, so I think overall 16 was a super strong real estate year.
Yeah.
Sales are great. I think most areas is a really strong market. I think most areas, when I was working with my clients, we saw net increases in sales and average sales price as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's, those are all good indicators.
And the inventory was a little down, which, helped prices.
Would boost prices,
Yeah.
It boosts prices, boosts average sales price, and then it lowers days on market.
Yep.
And those are all good things. Those are all great things. So obviously our big event this year was our little spike in interest rates. So we'll talk about that for a little bit. So obviously we both work with our clients, and they both kind of got panicked a little bit.
Yeah. So interest rates, there's no secret. If you turn on the news, you turn on Google News, you turn on anything, you're going to notice that interest rates went up. On November 8th, for example, the average interest rate may have been 3.625. You woke up November 9th, the day after the election, interest rates jumped up 0.5 to 0.625% higher. So your interest rate went up significantly. And just recently, it was 2 days ago, the Federal Reserve announced that they will increase prime. Now, prime doesn't necessarily have a true dictation on your home interest rate. However, it obviously plays a factor into it. So because of that, interest rates jumped again. Right now, I would say the average interest rate on a 30-year fixed conventional with good credit is around 4.5, where a month ago, we were sitting at 3.625. So it totally impacted the people that may have been pre-approved a month and a half ago and are trying to buy now. But again, it's I would take a deep breath. You're not shopping for the interest rate.
Right.
You're shopping for a payment.
Right.
You're trying to make sure that your payment is going to be within your comfort level. So that's the little advice that I would give to people.
It's great advice. It's great advice. And also, relatively speaking, rates are still crazy low.
Yep, 100%. I mean, you printed out a great chart here, which I'm sure we'll post later. But
we can do that.
Prime example is, January 2007. Okay, so 10 years ago from this January, the average interest rate on a 30-year fixed good credit, 6.25%.
Right.
So again, take a deep breath. It's gone up. There's no doubt.
Right.
But it's still historically low, and I know you've been hearing mortgage people say that for 9 years now,
Right.
8-9 years, but it's still very low compared to the average.
Right. I mean, the difference is, a month, 2 months ago, money was basically free.
Yeah,
and
it's still
kind of free.
Kind of free.
Yeah, so,
exactly.
So I mean, for a practical purpose, break it down for us. So like, if you're borrowing like $250,000, what's the difference between say a month or two ago to now?
Yep.
So I don't know.
Great question.
Yeah.
So for example, if you borrowing, and Quincy's example, you're
Right.
borrowing $250,000. That's not a purchase price, but that's how much you're borrowing for a loan. If the rate was 3.875 to 4.5, you're talking about $100 difference a month. Okay, which certainly makes a difference. There's no doubt.
Sure.
But again, that's $50 a week. So it's it's not as impactful, and it's not a reason not to buy.
Sure. Yeah. And also too, I mean, for budget planning, if we're worried about $100 a month, we really should be focusing more on the higher budget than that. That's that's $1,200 a year. That's, so all right. So again, I mean, just to recap the market, obviously the interest spike was the big event.
The most recent event.
Yeah.
Well, the most recent big event.
Yeah.
Yep.
But again, just to recap the year, it was a great year. I mean, like personally, it was a great year. I think for both of us. Thanks to all of our clients and customers.
Thank you.
But I mean, again, I'll just say, location-wise, you have a great location. You're always going to be insulated.
Yep.
pretty much. Not not all the time.
I mean, what's the 3 rules in real estate that
Location. What's the
That's
third
it.
one?
I think it's location.
Okay, that was super corny. That's lame. Okay. Anyway, so moving on. So let's talk about 17. So we'll try and make some predictions that may or may not be correct,
Yep.
and give some tips. So
So
good.
no, I was going to say, what do you think is going to come up with 17?
I think we're going to start strong.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I don't think the high rates are going to bother people too much. I mean, I think we'll adjust quickly.
Yep.
Like I said, I think people that are out there shopping are still gonna, they're still gonna buy a house. I think we'll do the math, we'll figure it out. It's on people's budget, it'll be fine. I know personally speaking, the beginning of the year looks really strong.
Mm-hmm.
I think inventory actually looks strong coming up at the beginning of the year, so that's a good sign. I still think we'll see a decent amount of first-time home buyers that took advantage of those really low rates at the all throughout 2016. I think they'll still, the rates are still low.
Yep.
I think we'll see those. So what do you think about rates? What do you think they're going to do?
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind they're going up.
Okay.
So
up past 5?
So there was a great article that was published just recently. It was 8 economists talking about where they anticipate rates,
Right.
and it's a range. Everybody is anticipating at least above 4.5, which is where we are right now already.
Sure.
To maybe 2 economists were thinking above 5.
Right.
But I think we're probably going to be sitting 4.875,
Okay.
5.25 range.
Right.
I hope and I don't think we're going to get to 6% yet.
Okay.
But there's it cannot be as free as it was for years past.
We all knew they had to go up. at some
Exactly.
point, yeah,
So we're just anticipating it to go up.
good. Cool.
And then what are some areas and that investors and what are some things that people look for?
Like locations,
Yeah.
definitely. So I know I've said this on a video before. I think if I was looking, like if I was an investor just looking to
Mhm.
buy a house with some equity potential, I think I would still look in Remington. I've seen those prices go up
Yes.
steadily. I think there's a little bit more room over the next few years in there. The inventory is super low, so there's like a lot of competition
Mhm.
for like any foreclosure, any rehabable house in there. But it's just a great alternative to like the high Hampton prices.
Yeah.
And I think Remington,
right
Charles
there.
Village, yeah, all those places. I think
And the R House, I think, just came in there, right, too, which is
Yeah.
like that food
Uh-huh.
market, which is
Yeah.
a great spot.
yeah.
Great spot.
Obviously anything Port Covington adjacent, near,
Yep.
overlooking, within a stone's throw.
Of Under Armour.
He breathes on.
Yeah,
Is a good idea right now. So.
So,
So yeah, I mean, and then I think the last thing we want to do is just, to anybody who's thinking about buying or selling, well, I guess we'll start with buying in 2017. I would say just start planning now.
Mhm.
Now's a great time to plan. I mean, like John and I were having a conversation before,
Yep.
planning does not mean buying. The only difference between like starting tomorrow
Mhm.
and starting, mid-January is just the timing of things, right? It'll be a slower process, but slower, to be honest with you, is better.
Yep.
Like, there's nothing worse than rushing, buying a house, and then
Yeah.
having buyer's remorse. So, take advantage of like the sort of slower holiday season we have coming up, and start meeting with your people, interviewing your agents, your lenders, getting your ducks in a row, getting your finances in a row.
Yeah. I mean, take advantage of getting educated.
Yeah, totally.
And I mean, honestly, if your goal is to buy in the spring or the summer or even the fall or the
Right,
winter
yeah.
of 17, now's the time to meet. It's historically a little bit slower for agents, so they could
Right.
address a little bit more time,
Mhm.
meet with you, go over, get your needs. Loan officer, meet with them in person. By meeting with somebody in person, we're not going to sell you to buy a house now. Okay.
Right.
It's one of those things that we're going to meet. We're going to learn your needs, and then over time, when you do find something, you're going to be able to jump on it because you're fully prepared.
Right.
So
Cool. And then if you are thinking of selling your house early in 2017, besides all the normal tips you always hear, stage, all that stuff, my tips are like, you got to get some curb appeal, which is always harder in the winter. But get a nice little budget to buy plants every couple weeks if you need them. But like a decent tip is like, get your exterior photos taken now before there's snow on the ground. There's nothing worse come March than a house
Yeah.
with listing photos of snow all over the ground.
Because then
so.
you know as a buyer that house has been sitting there for
Yeah.
a while, and
It's
you
a-
got some negotiating power.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
that's like 10% off right there.
Absolutely.
You might as well just have a sales sticker on it. So, I mean, that's like the one huge thing. I know all my January, February listings, we're going to shoot photos here right after the holidays. So,
Cool.
That's it. I think that's all we have, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Like I
Well,
said,
happy holidays,
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all that jazz. So I put that in there.
of course you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. We'll see everybody next year. Goodbye.